Thank you very much for joining us for our CAO Virtual Open Day today. So we're going to be chatting to students and lecturers about all of the courses NCI. So first up is our BA Honours degree in Early Childhood Education and Care.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Barr and I'm a lecturer on the BA Honours in Early Childhood Education and Care here at National College of Ireland. So currently I'm a lecturer in a few different modules. I lecture with the Year 1 students on music, movement, art and drama. I am a lecturer for a Year 2 module on play and creativity in early childhood, and I'm a lecturer in Year 3 for a module on inquiry learning, design and evaluation of curriculum. And I'm also the lead placement for the Year 2 and the Year 3 supervised placement practice. So I'm going to have a chat with a couple of our students today. We've got Joanne and Jessica, and I'm going to introduce them now. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm in Year 3 of the Early Childhood Education and Care programme.
Hi, I'm Joanne, and I'm also in Year 3 of the BA Honours in Early Childhood Education and Care.
Hi, that's great to hear from you, Jessica and Joanne. So I'm going to start by asking a couple of questions. I'm going to ask you both the same things, and just to build that sense of what it's like being a student on the Early Childhood Education and Care degree here at NCI. So my first question to you is this the course that you expected it to be when you applied? Or is it, if not, has your perspective changed? I'm going to check in with you, Jessica.
For me, it actually changed, Anna, because I was thinking it was going to be a little bit more about theory, but what I realised is actually a lot to do with practice as well. So when you're in placement, you learn so much from just being in the room with the children, and I didn't realise how creative it was going to be as well, because I love art and I love the creative arts as well. So it was lovely to be able to apply this to your actual job, your everyday job in placement throughout the year. So it was definitely different, and we learned a lot more about child development and psychology. I didn't expect psychology to be included in this, so that was something I've always been interested in, and I didn't think they would have this in this module. But from Year 2, we had dispositions on children's behaviours, and there was a lot about child psychology involved in this, so that was definitely something I didn't expect from the course, and I loved that part of it as well. It was very interesting.
Oh, that's great to hear, Jessica. It's great to hear that you found the creative part and the theory part, or the child development part. Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to check in then with Joanne and see, Joanne, is the course what you expected to be when you applied?
I definitely agree with Jessica. But mine was the opposite. I thought it was kind of going to be more based on like practical, which is brilliant, but I didn't realize there's going to be so much theory behind it, and that's what I'm finding most interesting as well. I love hearing all the different theorists, and you know that they really go in depth to and make you question why children act the way they do, and it's bringing in, you know, the whole concept of how important an environment, child's environment is. So I love, although I love, like you, Jessica, I love the arts and crafts and things, but I actually love the theory behind it. I love the psychology. I think the psychology is so interesting, and then you're using that and you're putting it into practice, especially in your workplaces and stuff. So it's making you understand things a lot more across the board, down children with additional needs. Yeah, so it definitely isn't what I thought it would be in a good way. I love the theory behind it all.
That is brilliant, Joanne. That's great to hear. And it's great to hear you've got similar but different viewpoints on it. But interesting that you're talking about the theory, and well, I'm going to go on and ask you, Jessica, then, what is the most interesting part about your studies? So you mentioned the creativity and some of those theories that you're learning. Is there anything in particular that really has jumped out at you over the last year?
Yeah, so the one thing that's really actually jumped out for me is realizing that you're an actual teacher. I know it sounds silly, but when I started a course, it was kind of a job. People would say it's a glorified babysitter. You're just caring for babies, and there was a lot of kind of stigma around going into studying early childhood education. But I think from doing the degree, you realise that you're actually a professional, and you realise the importance of your job as well, and how you're actually designing your own curriculum. And now the position I'm in now from my job that I got through studying as well, I have my own classroom now, so I have 18 children in my class, and I see the difference I'm making every day to them. We're creating the classroom, and you realise that it's not just, it's actually a really interesting job, and you're treated with respect then as well. Once you kind of have your own room in your class and you can design everything, especially like I said, I love the creative part of it as well. So I can design whichever kind of activities we're doing that weekend. We can have a day where we're doing work, or a day where we're just playing in the mud, or everything counts. So it's really, that for me was the biggest thing that jumped out, and we did some modules around that as well, and kind of building up your professional development in year 2. So I found that really helpful for me.
Do you feel, Jessica, you were supported through those modules? Has it helped you with that professional practice side of things?
It has, yeah, it definitely has, because I think when I went into it, I didn't have the confidence going into it. I was very kind of holding back and thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to have my own classroom. I'd never be able to manage the classroom. But then from having the modules and the tutors to support you, they kind of gave me that confidence. You go in then the next day and you're thinking, okay, I'm able for this. I've got all of these skills and all of this knowledge from college. So that was the biggest push for me, definitely.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Jessica. There's some great points. I'm going to move over and ask Joanne then the same question. You've mentioned a lot of what interested you in this module, but is there anything in particular? I know you mentioned working with children with additional needs and things like that. Is there anything that's been most interesting while you've been doing your studies here?
Yeah, I think as the years are going on, we're in year 3 now, you definitely grow in confidence of what, how you work your room, your practice, your professional practice, and you definitely gain confidence and support on that side. You realise the importance of an inclusive practice. Diversity Week, we covered a lot of diversity and inclusion in early years. So you really this degree makes you grow in knowledge and confidence to build. Early years is such an important part of a child's life. People think ECC scheme is only 3 hours a day, but it's a really important 3 hours a day for a child. So it's up to us having the knowledge, and the degree definitely gives you that to provide a service and a practice that meets every child's needs. And as well as that, I think, working as part of a team and building, I work with different girls, and I'm relaying the knowledge that I'm learning in my degree as well.
Brilliant.
Because it's very much, you're learning and you're putting into practice straight away, in your work placements and everything. And it's really interesting. And I think when you're listening to your lectures, things make sense because you're doing them firsthand. So it makes it so interesting. It's not like school where you're sitting in biology class and you're kind of going, oh yeah, that's a great experiment, but you're kind of imagining it more so. Where when you're working with children and you're taking ideas, or you're taking chances on doing different things because you're learning it in college in this degree. So that for me is really interesting. You learn and then you put it into practice. So, and it makes it easier when you're writing up your different modules and stuff like that. Definitely makes it easier.
That sounds fantastic, Joanne, the way you've described it, that there's these really nice connections between the theory or the content and putting it into practice. Did you feel supported as you've been going through the stuff to be able to put it into practice, but also, complete your assignments? Has it helped you with getting your assignments done?
Absolutely. I really feel that the support is really there. And as well, there's a lot of class discussions. So you get ideas from everyone else in the class. So that again, and obviously lectures, even little snippets of things. Like we had a really nice idea for story time. We wrapped the stories up in wrapping paper. So now each day one child gets to open up a present. They've called it that themselves. So even down to little ideas in college, and everyone, there's a lot of discussion. It's a course where it's a lot of talking, a lot of discussion, a lot of support from not only the lecturers but also your classmates. So that's really, definitely supported, I feel. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Joanne. Thank you. I'm going to move back and ask Jessica. I have another question here, Jessica. Where do you hope your qualification will lead? And I know before you start replying to it, I know you mentioned that you're now working in a setting while you're finishing your studies here at NCI. So you're obviously on the pathway to something. Do you have any aims, you know, where this qualification will take you?
Yeah, so and at the moment I'm working in a preschool room, and I'm enjoying that for now because it's definitely relating to what I'm studying in the degree. So I think the best thing about this degree in early childhood education is that you can actually go in so many different places. So I think when I finish the degree, I'll probably do a postgraduate in maybe social care or play therapy. Play therapy is becoming a really popular one as well, and I think it kind of relates to the psychology part of it as well, which I find very interesting. But then there's also creative arts that you could do. There's so much that you can actually do with it. So at the moment, I have ideas in mind, so I'm just seeing where it's taken me, and I might end up finding a new module that I'm interested in, because at the moment we're doing a module in digital play and learning about technology in the classroom, and I'm finding that very interesting now. So
Brilliant.
I constantly keep finding new things that I like about it. So I think when I'm finished, I'll know what I want to do by year 4. So at the moment, there's a few options out there for me, definitely.
Fantastic. That's great. Thanks, Jessica. I was going to ask you, Jessica, if has your starting point changed? So when you signed up for this course, or even before you signed up for it, did you have a different pathway in mind, or you know, has this one evolved as you've gone along?
Yeah, definitely. And so when I was in 6th year, I never actually knew what I wanted to do. I didn't fill my CAO out because I was actually completely lost. So I ended up just going in to work in a couple of jobs, and then I looked into doing a level 5, and I studied part-time level 5 childcare in Closhadoolig, and then I went on from there to a level 6 in the Liberties. And then all throughout that time, I was doing placement, I was working, babysitting, childminding, and then I went into NCI now. I got the level 6 route into year 2 in NCI. So it's definitely taken me on a completely different path. I didn't know it was even there, but I'm loving every second of it. So I'm delighted that I have discovered it, and I came in as a mature student as well. So it was nice to have the life experience, the experience after the Leaving Cert. So yeah, I've definitely taken a different path altogether now. So I'm really happy with it.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Jessica, for sharing that. I'm going to move over, Joanne, and ask you that final question there. Like, where do you hope your qualification will lead you? Where is it going to take you? And is it different from where you started?
Yeah, I kind of always was interested in. I actually did social care when I finished school. So I've always been interested in additional needs and looking kind of the psychology side of things. So I really think this degree gives you the foundation to be able to go down loads of different avenues of what you want to do. So I'm the same. I'm kind of play therapy, child psychology. I'm looking up different places. Galway have a really good course, masters and postgrad and stuff. So yeah, definitely I'd like to go down that route after.
Fantastic. So thanks, Joanne. There are some great points for the future. And Jessica, you've got some great ideas as well. So wishing you all the best as you continue on with your studies, and all the best for the future. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next up, we're going to find out about our business and accounting and finance course. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Dave, who's going to be chatting to some students.
Thank you very much, Karen. Dave Cormack is my name. I work as a lecturer in the School of Business in the National College of Ireland. I'm delighted to have Christy Dodita and Killian Cosgrave here with me today. So first off, if we could get some introductions from you guys. Christy, do you want to tell us about yourself?
Hey, my name's Christy. I'm in the BA Honours in Finance and Accounting and Finance, year 3 at the moment, my final year.
Great stuff, Christy. And Killian?
My name is Killian. I'm currently in 2nd year studying BA Honours in Business.
Great stuff, guys. And listen, thanks very much for coming along today, and it's absolutely great to have you. If I could go back to you, Christy, can you give me some thoughts on the BA Honours in Accounting and Finance?
Yeah, it's a brilliant course. Obviously, I did the higher cert first, and I got in a bit later on than everyone. So basically, the people that are doing it now are probably the year that started after me. But I feel like it's been great. Obviously, with the whole COVID, it's been different, but everyone else is going to have different next year when they're in. But it's been great. I really enjoyed it, like the amount of like opportunities that we got from like careers as well, graduate programs that we've been, like all the stuff that we've been getting has been brilliant, and I've really enjoyed it. The numbers, I've really got like used to Excel, which has been something I was really scared about, but I really got used to. We've done a lot of work with Excel and even like Word and stuff. So I've really enjoyed it. I said that a lot, but it's been great.
Okay, very good, Christian. Just staying with you there, like you are a numbers man, I know that, but tell me about what particular subjects really appeal to you on the course.
Yeah, so the ones I really loved the most have been taxation. So it's a weird one. It's not really accounting, but it is a lot to do with numbers. It's just a mathematic part and just all the calculations. I really enjoy doing that. Stuff like even financial accounting and management accounting itself, really the ones that are focused on numbers. Like stuff I struggle in is more the theory side, like law and regulation. But it's actually quite interesting as well, which I found as well, like all the different like stories and different like cases. And obviously different people find it different, but for myself, I really enjoyed the number side, like management accounting, financial accounting, even corporate finance, which you do in second year, really good.
Okay, and Killian, I'll come to you just a minute. I want to finish off with Christy on a couple of points. I will be back to you then, Christy. You mentioned financial accounting, management accounting, corporate finance. To somebody non-accounting, they all sound like the same thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Are they very different?
So a lot of the theory is the same, like you're doing the exact kind of the same steps. Like remember last year when we were doing it, there's similar questions, but everyone kind of has its own like separate, like there's always a little bit of theory as well, and that theory is what goes into it. But really it's a lot of the same work, but in different subjects. It's hard to explain it without like showing examples, but it is different, but it's also kind of similar. That's the answer I'll give.
Okay, Christy, great. So thanks for that. Now, listen, I'll be back to you in a bit. Killian, you're doing the BA Honours in Business, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So I was the same as Christy, actually. I came through the higher cert. So I had a bit of an idea on what's going to happen, but it's funny though, with business, it's not what you expect at all. Because when you think of business, you think of like accounting and you think of marketing and economics and stuff. But I feel like in NCI, they really put an expression on like entrepreneurship and business ideas. So it's something that they really focus on, because we would cover it actually basically all modules. So it's completely different in a good way to what I was expecting. But yeah, it's a very broad degree, so I'd definitely recommend it if you weren't sure what exactly you wanted to go into.
Okay, very good, Killian. And just you mentioned there entrepreneurship. Is there actually a module on entrepreneurship in your course?
Yeah. So in first and second year, well, sorry, in the higher cert we did, and then we also did it we're doing at the moment. So one of the CAs that we have to do at the moment is come up with our own business idea, and then we're going to have to present it at the end of this semester, actually. So it's actually looking forward to it. Should be a bit of fun.
Okay, that sounds very, very practical. Is that the case?
Yeah, a lot of the modules would be practical, because there's they'd mainly be CAs, and then they're mostly group CAs this year, especially. So a lot of you do a lot of practical stuff.
Okay, great. So, Killian, listen, thanks very much. Now, both yourself and Christy mentioned the higher cert, that you came the higher cert route. Can you just explain to people what that means in real terms?
Yeah. So when I did the leave, like to be honest, I wasn't great in school. Not gonna lie. So I came through the higher cert way, and then it's basically the exact same thing as what you do in first year, except it's 2 years. So when you complete it, you go into second year of the degree that you want to choose. So you get to choose between HR, accounting and finance, business. So but it is basically the same stuff as you do in first year, except you do it over 2 years.
Okay. And tell me, Killian, would you recommend that route? Would you say it's a good route into second year?
Yeah, especially if you're not sure what you want to do, or if you didn't do great in your leaving cert, basically it's a great way of staying, instead of repeating the Leaving Cert, you can go in through the higher cert way. I definitely, especially if you're not sure, I'd definitely recommend it.
Okay, can I go back to you, Christy, again now, and just you also came from the higher cert. Is that would you have similar thoughts to Killian, or would you like to add to that?
Yeah, very similar. I think obviously it's business, but I think it's law. Like, it's very broad. Like, you do marketing, you do accounting, HRM, and even business obviously itself. So you're doing a lot of options. If you're not actually sure what you want to do, which is something I came into college, I wanted accounting, but I wasn't actually 100% sure if I wanted it. It made my decision easier once I did all those other subjects as well. And I think it's brilliant. Even like, you're like people in it, like all the stuff you do, it's great. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't change it now going back.
Very good, very good. And that brings me on then, Christy. Okay, as you say, you always wanted accounting, weren't 100% sure, did the higher cert in business first, and then moved on into the BA Honours in Accounting and Finance. What direction is that taking you now? Where do you see yourself going with the degree when you graduate?
Yes, so of course, like, I'm in accounting and finance, but it's still a lot. Like, you can go in different routes. Obviously, I said like taxation earlier. That's one of the possible routes you could go, even like as an actual financial accountant. But you still need to do a couple of exams once you finish. It's called your bodies, and it's like your ACCA levels, which is but you can get that through working with one of the accounting firms. They can help you go through that, which is, I'm excited to do that as well. Obviously, still a bit of work to do after, so you're not fully finished your studies once you finish college, but still a bit of work, like but you're almost on the way, you're on the pathway, sorry to say.
Okay, and sorry now, Christy, just go back to that ACCA. You sound very knowledgeable on that. Did you pick up that knowledge through NCI, or did you your own research?
Yeah, I actually had no idea anything really about it. I know I have my mum that did it, but I didn't know like what came with it. Like, you do a lot of exams in NCI that gives you exemptions for the future. So, for example, I did when we were even in higher cert, we did accounting and finance 1, and we did law. I think it was corporate law, and they gave you exemptions if you did 50% and over, which is it's like a reasonable result. Like, you can get that, it's achievable. And you obviously in accounting, and you year by year you pick up more and more, and you go into do your bodies or your ACCA or chartered, depending on which one it is, with a lot of exemptions, which you only need a couple of exams, whereas someone who's starting from the beginning has a lot more to do.
Okay, very good. Really interesting, Christy. Now, just bring your mind back to when you were in Leaving Cert and what your thoughts were about college. Is it what you thought it would be, or is it different, or how has your experience been? So
I think it's completely different. Like, obviously in school it's a bit more like they're on top of you, the teachers. It's all about, you need to do this, there's a lot of rules, whereas in college I feel it's more your own responsibility to do everything, and you're kind of pushing yourself. So no lecturer is going to force you to come in. Obviously they want you to come in, but it's your own choice, and I feel like that responsibility is good for going in the future as well when you're working. It's about getting up every morning. It's about wanting to succeed, and I feel like that responsibility is giving you a bit more, like, it's on you're growing up like that. I feel like in school you're always like had that teacher telling you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, but now you're taking it all yourself, really. Okay, great stuff. Thanks again, Christy. I'll be back to you in a minute. Coming back to you again, Killian. You've gone the broad business route from after your higher cert. Where do you see that taking you, career-wise or future studies-wise?
I think, to be honest, like, once I finish the 3 years, I think I might might try and get into a grad program or something and see what happens from there. Because I think the fact that I chose business, it's such a broad degree. So I think one of the main reasons I chose it, because I didn't want to, I know it's not limiting yourself, but it's almost like keeping options open. So I decided, so I hope to get into a grad program and then see what happens from there. Okay, and when you say grad program, again, that's I don't know, how does that work, or how do you get there, and has NCI been helpful in that area? Yeah, so actually I managed to do an internship there during summer, and NCI helped me get it. So it was through Vodafone actually. So NCI helped me get in contact with someone through Vodafone, and then they offer you a grad program actually at the end of your studies if you manage to maintain your grades, and then you have to do another interview selection process, but usually you have to do 3. But I think because you managed to do the internship that NCI managed to get me, I managed to get you get through past the first stage of interviews. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I'm looking forward to that.
It sounds really interesting, and certainly that concept of getting into past the first hurdle, that's really like you're past quite a significant hurdle when you're there. I asked Christy to go back to 6th year in secondary school and get his head around where he was and what college was going to be, and then what it actually was. What are your experiences there, Killian?
Well, I think college is 10 times better than you think. I went in thinking I was looking forward to it and knew it was going to be good. But I think the fact that it's so different and all your responsibility is on you, it's a great, like going in, before coming into the college, I didn't know anyone that was actually coming here, but I think that's a good way of going in, because it makes it almost like you have to make friends. Then you can't have your select few. So I think I'd definitely recommend. It's almost better going in not knowing anyone, because I'd say since joining in 2019, I'd say I've got about, you get like a group of really close friends after a while, because you start doing CAs with them and you spend a lot of time with them. So there's I definitely have made a lot of new friends since joining. So I think it's much better than you expect.
Very good. Great stuff. We'll be back to you in a little minute again, Killian. Christy, let's come back, and I know we've talked about your college experience, pre-college experience. Tell me, what would you say was the most interesting thing that you've encountered in college?
Interesting. I think there's a lot of things that happened that's been interesting. Obviously, we've learned, I think it's much more like you've digital focused and stuff. Like obviously you need to learn more about Word and all the really ones and presentations and how to do that. Obviously we've done face-to-face presentations before and stuff, and you're thinking it's nervous and stuff, you're very nervous, but you go in, you do it, and it's actually fine. It's a good life experience as well. Obviously you met all these new people, as Killian said. I totally agree with what he said when it comes to like coming in not knowing anyone, because you make new friends. Everyone's kind of in the same position. You come into a new college, and totally agree with Killian when he said that it's better to come in not really knowing anyone and then making new friends. But I think favorite part has been kind of like all the moments that we've done, like the class, like all in classes and all, like even when we were in with you, Dave, we did all those entrepreneurship, we did all these innovative ideas, and I feel like working as a class, it was interesting to see all the people's ideas and perspectives.
Yeah, very interesting. And just before we wrap it, just want to say, Christy, again, just what was the most challenging thing that you've encountered since you went to college? In college, I mean.
I had this is actually quite something you won't really do in school. It's referencing. It took me a while to get with references. I didn't really understand how to do it, and obviously I was really scared to not like plagiarism and stuff like that. Obviously you do learn it with time and you get used to it. Now you do it like without thinking, but at the start it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around it.
Very good. Fair play. Thanks very much, Christy. Killian, just going back to yourself, what would you say is the most exciting thing for you since you went to college? Exciting
would probably be, I'd say it's probably going into almost the unknown, because like it is completely different. It's almost an adventure. Like if you do 3 years, I'd say that my 3 years have been completely different each year's, because you go from, say, first year you go in, it's a huge change, but then each year you go through is a massive it's a learning curve. So I'd say that's been one of the best experiences so far. And as Christy said earlier, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Very good. That's really good to know. Now, while I might as well ask you the other question as well, what was the greatest challenge that you found since going to college?
I'd say probably getting all your CAs or your exams in on time, because like they're all, I know they, like the lecturers probably don't realize, but they all come in at, like they all come around the same dates. So there's a lot of pressure put on. But I think if you're able to handle it, if you get used to everything and get your work done and stay on top of it, it's actually not too bad at all. But I know the first year you think you can breeze around because people say it, but definitely as long as you keep your work done, you're doing well.
Okay, I think that's great advice, Killian. And you know, they do all come together, but you're both living proof of the fact that you get them done, you get them in, and you're both you're in your final year, is that right, Christy? And you're in second year, is that right, Killian?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're both living proof of the fact that you can progress. So I think that's a great note to wrap up on, Killian, a piece of advice to keep ahead of the work and to work through your timetable. Listen, lads, thanks very much for that. It was really good. I learned a lot, and we've been quite a while talking. So fair play, and thanks for your thoughts.
Thanks so much for joining us today for our open day. So I'm going to pass you on to Frances Sheridan, and she's going to tell you a little bit about our courses in the School of Computing, and you can chat to some students as well about their perspective on NCI.
Hi everybody, thanks again for joining us today. As Karen said, my name is Frances Sheridan. I am the Programme Director of the Higher Certificate in Computing in the School of Computing at NCI, and of first and second year of the BSc in Computing. And I'm here joined today by some of the students from our courses. So we have Jack from the BSc in Technology Management, and we have Shane. So I'm just going to pass you over to the guys to introduce themselves. Jack, maybe you go first.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Jack Langella. I'm a second year technology management student.
And Shane.
How's it going, guys? My name is Shane, and I am in my third year of my Bachelor's of Science in Computing at NCI.
Thanks, guys, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today, to both of you as well. It's really important that these events, that students can get prospective students can get a feel for what the courses are really like, and the best place for that to come is from people like you on the course. So I suppose I have a few questions for you that I'm hoping you'll answer first today. And the first is the course that you've signed up for what you expected it to be when you applied? And Jack, maybe we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I'd say I kind of got the idea I wanted to do business and IT. And then I kind of done a bit of research. I done a PLC last year in logistics, so it's kind of a bit different to what I originally maybe thought my career would kind of go down the path of. And then I just really find the business part of logistics interesting. I'm good at computers, and then I've just done in-depth research and found technology management, and it's a mix of both, which is you get the best of both worlds. Basically, you get a business degree and a somewhat computer science degree in one. So it is what I expected, but yeah, it is kind of what I expected. It is a bit tough, but I mean, what else would you expect from a computer science degree?
Very good, thank you. And how about you, Shane?
Yeah, no, look, it is and it isn't what I was expecting in the best of ways, you know. Before I had done this course, I thought that computing would be very heavily maths based, which I was kind of frightened of because I wasn't the best maths student in secondary school, you know. But now having been in it, it's you know, like if you're thinking, oh, you know, if you're interested in computers or you want to learn programming, you're kind of thinking, oh no, it's heavily maths based. It isn't really at all. So that kind of put my nerves at ease. I think some of the misconceptions as well is that, you know, you know, people might think that you get thrown into college and, you know, you're on your own and stuff. It's not like that at all. That really surprised me. The amount of support that we have in my course that I've had over the last 2 years has been great. Not just from the support lectures. Support lectures have been unbelievable over the last 2 years. getting the help that you will need at some point throughout your course, you know. And then just the regular lecturers in general have been just great. If you ever need help, they're there to answer any of your questions. So yeah, it's so far it's exceeded my expectations, you know. I was expecting to go straight into programming within my first year, and that's exactly what happens. In my second semester of first year, I was learning Java straight away, and that's exactly what someone who wants to learn about computing wants, you know. So yeah, it's been great so far.
Thanks, Shane. That's great. And I think there's probably more than one or two students breathing a sigh of relief when you tell them that, you know, that connection that we all assume is there between maths and computing, you know, isn't necessarily the case, you know. And I can see Jack is nodding here as well, but me too. Like, I think there is a connection between maths and computing. There's no doubt about it. But I think people assume that means that if you don't feel really confident with maths, that you won't be good at computing, and that's not the case at all. And I'm always telling students that, you know, and it's great to hear that that's actually what you find as you move through the course, you know. And then I suppose just to explain to anybody who's here listening, you know, when Shane speaks about the support lecturers versus the regular lecturers, you know, we do have a number of dedicated support services at NCI, which you've probably heard about watching other talks today, but we have a dedicated computing support office that's there to help any student that feels like they're struggling a little bit just with part of a module, with a whole module. You know, sometimes they put on extra classes for an entire group of students, you know, and they're there the entire way through your program to give a little bit of a dig out whenever you think you need it. So it's great that, you know, you guys are finding that those services are there and they're helpful, you know, as you go along, you know. And it's great to see that you think the courses are what you kind of had hoped they were going to be too, you know. What would you say then, and we'll start with you first this time, Shane, so as not to be picking on Jack first all the time. What would you say is the most interesting thing about your studies so far?
There's a lot to find interesting about computing, to be fair. I wouldn't have went into software if I didn't think so, but I think with my course in particular, the sheer amount of technologies that you actually learn, like I'm only in my first semester of third year, so I still have a long way to go, but already I've learned so much about Java, you know. From my second semester and first year, we're learning Java. Francis yourself has taught me Java in oriented object programming in second year, so you learn so much about that. Then you've got JavaScript, which you'll learn about which I learned about in first year in web design. You'll learn about database technology such as SQL. And what I find most interesting is how all of these technologies can be combined together to create something really great, which then you can showcase in second year team project, which we did, you know. And there's so many modules that we've done to get to show off these technologies in web application development, where we got to create our own website that has functionality using JavaScript. So it's just, for me, that's what I find most interesting, is all of the technologies and how they're used together to create something really great.
Excellent, thanks, Shane. And now over to you, Jack.
Oh, sorry, I was mute. Yeah, I think the most interesting thing, I'm only in my second year, so I've only kind of kicked off something a bit different now. So I think for me personally, the most interesting is how I can adapt to, as Shane was talking about, you're doing all these programming, but then also I have, and I'll be honest about it, for business, mostly is theory based, where computing wouldn't be as theory based. So I'm kind of impressed at myself that I can jump from actually doing IT and then programming and then actually going to the next module and it's theory. And it is nice to kind of have that bit of relaxation, because programming sometimes can be a bit challenging. It's stressful, but once you get it done, it is so good to see your program actually up and running. But then when you're in the business side, it's just kind of, you really just kind of do need to focus on certain things, like it's key points you need to focus on. So I think that's really interesting that we get like a blended learning, as we have been, but like not in that term. We've been blended learning as in we're getting 2 into 1. So it's nice that we get that mix of sectors, I think is the best way to say it. It's interesting to see how, if you want to be a lecturer in NCI doing computing, or if you want to be in a business somewhere doing administration or accounting, it's nice to see that okay, these are the two things that I might be able to do in life. So I think I might have a bit of a problem fourth year when I want to decide what I want to do, because I feel like I have a lot of opportunities now.
Excellent, thanks, Jack. And I think you both have brought up quite a few really interesting points there. You know, I think you're right, Jack. The blend on that BSc in technology management of the business and computing really brings two worlds together, and it puts you in a position where someday, you know, you may well go down the business route, but you could find yourself managing a team of IT people, you know, and it's really important to be able to understand their speak and to be able to get in and throw yourself in on the projects they're working on. And I think that's what one of the real key points of your program, you know, is that you can go kind of one direction or the other, but you'll always fully understand the other world as well, you know. And more now as times change and things move on, we're just finding there is no real difference between the business world and the computing world. They have to go hand in hand, you know, so that's really, really important. I think everybody listening is probably thinking, hang on, these guys are talking about a lot of the same modules, but they're doing two different courses. So it's important to point out, you know, the first year of your programs, the entire first semester is shared. All the modules are the same. You do the same maths module, you do the same introductory programming module, and there's quite a bit common. And it's only really in semester 2 of first year that you start to branch out a little bit in different directions. You still have some common modules. And now, Jack, that you're in second year, you're probably finding there's a little bit less overlap with the other course. And Shane would have noticed that too last year, you know. But so that's important, I suppose, just for everybody listening at home, trying to get a feel for the programs, to see that there is a lot of overlap, and that's how we can do a combined computing and business program, you know, that you're in there, you're not just doing computing for business students, you know, but you're in there in the thick of it doing the real hardcore computing modules that the other computing students are doing. And the other thing that popped into my head was, Shane mentioned the team project, you know, that we do in second year. And again, Jack, your program does that too. And that's one of the other shared modules that's really important, because when you go into third year and you start looking for your third year work placement, your internship, that's the piece of work that you get to take out there to the workplace and show employers when you're interviewing for jobs. You're going to use this second year module, and you're going to sort of help sell yourself with this piece of work. And that brings me to my other point I should have mentioned earlier. We were to be joined by a third student this morning, or today, but she couldn't make it, unfortunately, because she's at a job interview for her third year internship. So obviously these things take priority. We wouldn't be asking anyone to pass up a job now, but so otherwise she would have been with us today. Okay, I think we're ready for our next question then. So Jack, where do you hope your qualification that you get from this course will lead you?
Oh, it's a bit of a hard one, to be honest, because there's so much more that we still have to do. Like this example, next semester we're doing accounting. I've never done accounting before, and I might fall in love with it. So it's really, I hope that I just get a job that I enjoy. I don't think anyone should focus on how much money you be earning in a job. I think it's more the focus of, it's great, you can make them 200 grand maybe a year in some job, but you absolutely hate it. Or would you rather do a job that you're on 40 grand a year, say, and you love it? You love going to work every day. I think that's the goal in my head, is to, as obviously it's nice to have a nice paying job, obviously, but we have to like it to actually want to be there. And you're doing your degree for 4 years. If you want to do a master's, it's 5. So if you want to do that, it's 4 or 5 years of your life that you're kind of setting yourself up for, and you want to make sure that the end goal is that you're happy and not in a job that you're miserable. That's the best way to say it. Like, you just want to make sure that you kind of put yourself first and you're happy about what you end up doing after. And again, just focus on your studies and just do as well as you can. If you have a certain goal, just keep trying to reach that goal every year. That's really all I can say.
That's brilliant, Jack. Thank you. And I think, you know, I think it's a great way to approach that whole space, you know, is that it's completely okay to follow your heart and to study something you're interested in simply because you're interested in studying it, you know, and that the job will fall out of it, and trust that there will be something at the end of it that you enjoy doing, you know, and that's what you're looking for. So that's fantastic. And obviously, you know, it goes without saying, NCI, as well as having a computing support service and a math support service, we have a career support as well, you know, so they do assist students in pursuing those internships that we talked about, you know, and securing those interviews, and then in preparing for the big bad world afterwards and figuring out what that role is that you want to pursue when you've finished, you know. So all of these supports are there, and obviously you're only into your second year now, Jack, and you'll encounter these as you go along, you know. And I'm sure Shane is probably already in touch with our career service at the minute, gearing up for his third year placement in semester 2. So how about that you then, Shane, the same question to you. Where do you hope this will lead, or what's your plan for your internship even?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned about the work placement internship in third year, it's coming up for us in my next semester. I've been lucky enough and very grateful to have been accepted to Workday as a software application developer intern. I'm over the moon with that, because that's actually when I heard about, you know, that my course requires a work placement in third year, I was like, I want Workday. I've heard about Workday, so really happy with that. So yeah, to answer your question, I'd love a full-time job in Workday, maybe if they like me on my internship. Hopefully I'll be kept on, who knows. But to be honest, just any software development job. That's why I kind of that's why I chose this course. It's what I want to do. I want to program for a living. So I would take any good software development job from any of the millions of companies in Dublin now that have set up shop here, you know. But yeah, so Workday would be great. So I'm looking forward to that.
Brilliant. And congratulations. That's fantastic. You know, it's great at this early stage to know that you've got your semester 2 internship all lined up and you're ready to go. You know, it's fantastic. And I'm sure you worked alongside the careers office to secure that. I know that they send out regular bulletins of jobs that are available and places that are looking to secure students, you know. So really well done. Fantastic. And so given that, okay, so you want to head to software development, Shane, you know, and you were great, like I was going to say, you know, for the people at home, what's involved in working at Workday, but, you know, you're working on software development of programming, putting all those programming skills into action, you know. And Jack, I know you're going to follow your heart, I suppose, depending on how the course goes. But did you have a different plan coming in? Was that always where you started out? You know, did you have something in mind? Like Jack, you had said, you know, initially you'd studied logistics. So did you sort of have something else in mind?
Yeah, well, basically I was joined last year. So I got 2 offers. So I got one from another college and I got one from NCI, and I was kind of torn between both of them, because one of them was kind of logistics around, and then the other one, technology management. I was just more, I didn't know, if someone was pulling me towards it, to be like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm good at computers. It'd be nice to get into like the business world. So yeah, I think from where I was in 6th year, from younger I wanted to be a pilot. So it's just completely different things that you go through when you're in school. So when it comes to your CAO, I think just, it's not the end of the world. Like there's always something. Like example, I done a PLC, I put my CAO, I got my first place. If you don't get your first place, who cares? You can do something else. I done a PLC, got into it, and then I just think I knew from there. I was like, don't think this is what I want to do. So it definitely was a nice way to kind of get a feel, I guess, for being outside of school. And as Shane said, you're not really thrown into just college. You're not a number, I feel like, in NCI. You actually are a person. Like Francis, I had Francis last year for 2 modules. So it's kind of like you see the same faces around, which is nice. So again, it's just nice to know that if you did have a bit of confusion about this, you can go and approach them. That's the best thing to say.
Perfect. Thanks, Jack. And Shane, was programming always your intention from the outset? That was your plan from day one, was it?
Yeah, actually. So I actually started college at 23, so I was a bit of a late bloomer. I actually applied for the course straight after my leaving cert. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough points at the time, but I applied again a few years later and I got it. So I think, you know, after school, during school, like I was a big gamer. I love playing games, so I was like, what's a way to get into that kind of, you know, that work environment of game development and stuff. Computing is the best way. But having spent 2 years in my course, you know, it's not just now game development that I'm interested in, but just any software development. I think when you're actually using these technologies and you're actually programming, you actually realize how interesting it is and how much there is to love about it outside of just game development. So my interest in software development has changed, but it's always been an interest, and it's always something that I wanted to pursue even when I was in school. So yeah, pretty much.
Excellent. Listen, brilliant. Thanks a million, guys. That was fantastic. And I think you've given people a real insight into what it's like to study at NCI and into how your mind might change and how your thoughts evolve, and how you're finding your way through the course. So again, really, really great to hear all of this. Thanks again for joining us today. Don't forget, if anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them about anything that came up today and chatting to the lads. And thanks again.
So we're going to find out some more about our business courses in NCI. So I'm going to pass it on to Dave to chat some more.
Hello, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Brenda Mehra, who is a graduate of marketing at NCI and currently a student doing her master's at NCI. So it's great to have you. It's my pleasure to meet you again, Brenda. We haven't seen one another for a while. Just as we're talking now about marketing, we would like to have had some people in about our human resources degree, but unfortunately they're all tied up at the moment doing group assignments. And as you know, assignments are a hugely important part of your university course, and we don't want to disturb them with that. So maybe sometime in the future we will have a HR person in. But now it's over to Brenda. Just tell us a little bit about yourself to start, Brenda.
Hi everyone, I'm Brenda. I did my undergrad at NCI. I did BA Honours in Marketing Practice. So I started in 2018 and I did 3 years, and I decided to progress for master's level in marketing as well, as I love marketing. I'll be sharing all about it with you. And I'm very excited to be here today, and I wish you enjoy and hearing my experience. And that's it. That's for me. Thank you, Dave.
Lovely, Brenda. And yes, you certainly did take the BA Marketing Practice, and you were very successful, if you don't mind me telling people about that. But tell me a little bit about before you took on the course. What were your expectations?
So I think as any person, so I'm from Brazil, everyone, and I living secondary. I wasn't sure what I wanted, and kind of the huge challenge. You're like, is that the right thing for my career? Am I choosing the right thing? Is that for me? And I think that you know one thing you'd like, and I said I'm a very creative person, and I was like, what are the universities out there? I don't like very theory. I'm so sorry. I like the experience and being able to participate in the college life itself. So I was like, NCI is great for that. So when I arrived on, even though it's a marketing course, it's called Marketing in Practice. So we have theory and we apply those in tutorials. So it's a great opportunity if you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go to university and this is going to be on the theory, and it's not. Dave, you know yourself, we had a very practical course. So as you guys can see behind me, I did a capstone project. And we had to do loads of projects. So my project was this nice cocktail shaker. Don't worry, it's non-alcoholic. And this one is a cocktail shaker. And all of that was bringing it from China and getting experience with my team and working in the branding and in the marketing. It was a huge experience. Like, I wasn't sure what I wanted at the beginning, but I'm sure that NCI made the best of that experience to happen, of the college life with student union, student supports. I think you're just not sure what you want, but you are confident when you have a good institution to support you there.
Okay, and that's very good. You mentioned marketing practice, and that's a hugely important. It is a BA in marketing practice, and you also mentioned Siptail, the business that you set up, and you really did set that up, didn't you? Your team.
Yeah, so we did set up this business. I have them here. I will be showing you guys. I think you guys can see. So our business was the idea. In our final year, we bring everything we learn from theory and practice from first years and second year to one module for a full year where we learn more about, like in practice, how this really is going to work. So we set up a business. Our idea was to create easy, simple cocktails, and we said, you know what, we are young, we love to have fun, and it was really in the between of COVID, and we were like, you know, a lot of people were having fun at home. So what can we do to bring this fun, make it even more fun? So we said, why not make a cocktail shaker? And we did some research and we realized that there are people that are not drinking as much as, like nowadays you can see like Heineken Zero, Guinness Zero. So we decided then to do a non-alcoholic mixture. So it's great because we could apply theory that we had of like how to do research in practice, and it was great and we really loved it. So the shaker that we got, actually we had to bring it from China. So one of our teammates had contact with a Chinese producer from Alibaba, and she got to put our branding in the shaker and how like to outsource, especially Dave, he taught us logistics, distribution. So it's kind of to understand how you bring from another country into Ireland and how you market. So one of our differentials was that everything's about the brand and making sure that your product's out there. So we had like this little, I think I can show you guys. Yeah, so it's like a Shopify link. So if a person scans it, they are brought into like a playlist where they can listen to music and sip into their cocktails. That is like mocktails, basically. I know I'm saying cocktails, but they're mocktails. And it was a great experience, and you're not sure if you're going to have enough support, but I'm telling you, NCI is great for that. There are student supports and student services, counselling services. You have the student union that is there to support you as well. And as a full-time student, you're like, oh my God, am I going to have time to do all what I want? Then you have a gym facility just beside us. Karen can tell more about it if you guys want to know more. But NCI is great to help you. Lecturers are there to support you. All you need to do is reach out and you won't regret.
And I think, Brenda, as well as that, were you a class rep as well for your group? Can you tell us a little bit about that, about what is involved in being a class rep?
Yeah, so being a class rep is all about engaging with college and lecturers and building your network. So when you're starting, like you probably have never worked part-time before or anything like that, and being in college is an opportunity to build your new relationships that you have it for life, you know. And I was a class rep for 2 years, and now that I'm my master's in marketing as well, I am a class rep. It's a great opportunity. You are in contact with your lecturers, you're in contact with the college, and you're really knowing how grown-up life is, you know, like you are in contact with what you thought, oh, I would never be able to. And some people are very shy, to be honest. I was when I arrived, because it's like, I'm from a different country abroad. Is my English okay? I was not sure, but you have to try. You have to make yourself out there and be sure that you make the most out of your experience. You know, you're the only one that is crafting your path. So I recommend that go for it and you have the great time of your life. I did. I don't regret. My experience was one of the best experience. When we finished our presentation the last day, I remember Dermot, he's not here today, but he's a great part of this project, Dave and Dermot, and they were like, oh my God, 10 minutes and 2 seconds. That was my overall experience, like my 3 years resumed. in 10 minutes. It was so much work and so much effort and so much care that me and my team have put into that. And of course, the lecturers are brilliant. They are fantastic, and you just have like the best experience ever.
And obviously you did have a great experience at NCI and a great experience in college, Brenda. Were there any challenges along the way for you?
I think challenges there are anywhere you go. I was telling you guys before, my huge doing an assignment as first time. I remember I was brand management. I was like, oh my God, I never done an assignment before. So I wasn't sure, but thankfully the library have a very strong support service, Keith from the library. I booked an appointment with him, and I was like, this is my first time doing this. How can I do it? And he went for a full hour, touch base with me. This is how you research. This is how you write. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't think that I would have this amount of support. That like the biggest challenge is like, so many new things that I wasn't used to, but I was there to be supported by the college throughout my journey. So I know this is the assignment, but as well, like socializing. Thankfully, the student union does like Freshers Week. So I had the opportunity to meet my other teammates, classmates, and other people from other courses, and have a great time, because that's all about your college experience, that you're having a good time, that you're building your relationships, and when you finish, you have your career, but the experience that you're having, that's the most important thing, I think.
And now you've progressed, you're going to graduate in November, is that right, for your marketing practice? Yeah, we're looking forward to this. And you progressed onto masters. Would you say the BA in marketing practice was a good foundation for a master's degree?
100%. Like I don't know how I would be able to do a master's if I didn't have the foundation of the BA in marketing practice. It's such amount of good foundation. Like I remember our first module is fundamentals of marketing. So you start with level. You're basing yourself. I know some people, if you're not experienced in marketing, you have never heard of it before, it's fine. So the lecturers are very good in the sense that they're building you into like a high level. Don't worry, you're starting with basic and you grow up and develop. So now that I'm doing masters, it's more into specialize yourself and make sure you are building and specializing what you like. So I know NCI as well offer loads of postgraduates degrees, masters. So you can do business, you can do management, you can specialize in the area that you like more. And I think that's the biggest thing, that the best thing that you can do. You choose what you like, start with the foundation, start fresh, and then you move on to what you really like. So I like marketing and decided to specialize in marketing, but I could have done international business or management, or could have progressed to other sides of things. And I'm very happy with the foundation that I have received through my 3 years.
Okay. And just your passion for marketing is so evident, and you as you say, you found your niche in marketing. So Brenda Mera, now when you finish your masters, where is this going to take you?
I definitely want to be, I love brand and brand management, so I will be looking forward to get a graduate position into brand and brand management, and like portfolios, and see what other brands are doing, and make sure to be the face of the brand. And I will be looking forward to my career. That's what I'm here for, even though it was fun and exciting, my end goal was to have a good career, and that's exactly what is happening, so that's it. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm very excited for it, and I hope to achieve my end goal. That's it.
It has been lovely talking to you, but just one last question. Are we going to retain you in Ireland, or are you going to go home to Brazil when you finish?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, yes, I was thinking that. I hope to stay here at least 2 more years to build my career. But I don't know, Brazil, it's such a great place to be, and I miss home so much. Like my family, I have been living here for 5 years, so I just miss my family so much. But the opportunities that you have in Ireland, I don't know if I would have back home. So I think, I don't know. I hope to stay here for a long time, but Ireland needs to like and want me as well. Like, but I hope 100% to stay here for a while, and maybe go back in the future to support my family, like my mom, my sister, and my dad as well. So that's what I hope.
Very good. Listen, thanks very much, Brenda. And I think no matter where you go, there's a brand out there waiting for Brenda's touch. We will hear from you in the future. Thank you very much. It was lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So next up is Argyr from the School of Computing. So he's going to be chatting to some students who are currently studying NCI and finding out more about data science.
Thank you, Karen. I'm Argyr Nicolae Moldovan, and I'm a program director for the BSc in Data Science, where I teach a few important modules there: the Introduction to Data Science, the Statistics too, and Data Mining and Machine Learning. So thank you, Niv and Christopher, for joining us. My first question, and we'll start with Niv, is the course what you had expected to be when you applied?
Hi, my name is Niamh Daly, and I'm a third-year student on the data science course. When I initially applied, I used the open day in NCI and the prospectus to have a look at the different modules, so I knew kind of what I was getting into. Looking at it, I expected a lot of maths because I saw a lot of the modules are maths related, but what I didn't expect was the amount of English as well that you'd be expected to do in the form of report writing. You kind of use the report writing to tell the story of all the data analysis you do during the course, and that's actually turned out to be one of my favorite things about the course, when you're able to tell a story and to tell other people what you've done and why you've done it.
Thanks. You touched on a very important and useful skill, that is the storytelling, which is crucial for data science students, because it's important not only to learn the technical and the practical aspects of the courses and the theoretical knowledge, but it's also crucial to be able to translate your work, your practical work into something that it's easy to understand for non-technical people and business people, because that's what data analytics and data science is. Christopher, what's your opinion on this?
Hi, my name is Christopher Ware, and I'm studying data science in third year. Well, like Argyr was saying about the talking about your employers and to non-technical staff in your potential company in the future, it's all well and good to be able to take a data set and work on a data set and analyze it, which is obviously a huge part of what we do in this course. But as Niamh said, it is so important and so interesting to take that data and basically have to write a full report about this data, about what it means, about where you source your data from, what are potential, how your hypothesis comes into this data, what the results are, and basically try to relay that information from your skill sets about what the results mean to people that may not have that fluency in data science or in computing terms. And really, I really love telling the story of my data because it makes it more meaningful to me, and I'm sure Niamh will agree, that when you work with data, it's not just about the numbers and the maths, it's about what the numbers and the maths means, and what results, especially for companies, what that data can give that company in terms of cutting edge over other companies who are in similar situations who will have their own data teams. And it's all about trying to innovate and improve and really kind of progress on data. And especially when writing reports, it's important to note that good comprehensive English is very much needed to be able to help your different employers, your colleagues, to really help understand your data, and so that they can understand where you come from as much as you understand yourself as well.
Thank you. I'm curious how your perspective changed since over the past 3 or 2.5 years, and why is that? Because a lot of the Living Cert students and CAO students in particular, perhaps they have difficulties to understand the benefits and the importance of data science in today's economy. I'm curious, how did your perspective change over the years, and what do you think about the ethical implications of the data science and the fact that more and more companies, they collect the data, our data, personal data, they make use of that data, and what would you advise your fellow students?
Well, personally, as we're writing these massive reports or we're writing, we always have to source our data ethically. So you have to get consent from, if you're using personal data from certain, like other colleagues, we always have to get their written consent after these forms. Because as you see with such as Facebook and WhatsApp, there's a lot of data breaches, which now in the EU, with all these GDPR rules, it's absolutely massive about getting consensual data, about in the full terms and agreements and all the rest, about knowing the user's privacy and the user's rights. And really, from my perspective, when I first came into this college in first year, I was very thinking, like, I wasn't great at maths in school in the Leaving Cert. My maths grade was below average, but you really, the maths, it picks up so quickly now through college, and really keep it through the maths. Sorry, it's just from the mathematical perspective, really improves from statistics to even data mining, machine learning. You learn so many new skills through coding, through statistical analysis, and it really, data isn't just about the numbers. There's so much more to data, and especially now in such a technological age, it is probably one of the fastest growing industries in the world, really. It's really one of the most leading industries now. Most companies, I think over 70% of Forbes list companies are moving towards big data and moving towards these data teams. And really, so my perspective of it is that data is just more than numbers. Data isn't everything, absolutely everything, from all new technologies, from the way our brains are wired, from absolutely like everything in the new age of the world. Like, data is huge, and it's always going to be striving, and it's always going to be progressing, and it's really something that I think a lot of students should be getting into early, because the potential there to grow is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you, Chris. So, Niamh, how did your perspective change?
Yeah, just touching on what Chris said, I think a lot of data science, what surprised me was that you're not limited to one industry when you study data science. Data is used in every industry nowadays, so you could get a career in health, or like we saw with probably the COVID figures, everyone was probably tuning in to watch that nearly every day, seeing the different stats for that. Data isn't really stuck in one area. You can kind of go to anything. Like, I know personally I would love to have a career in Formula 1, and I know that's such a data-driven sport, and I know that a career or learning data science would be able to get me to that my career progression that I would love to do.
Thank you very much, Niamh and Christopher. That was very insightful.
Oh, so yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on and letting us know about data science. We could listen to it all day, but we have a couple of more subjects to cover. So thank you so much for joining us today. So next up is Fergal and Sinead, and they're going to be chatting about studying psychology at NCI.
Hi, I'm Dr. Fergal O'Brien. I'm one of the lecturers here on the psychology team at NCI. I lecture in research methods and in cyber psychology, and my own research interests are in risk-taking among young people. Sinead, it's really good to chat to you today about your time at NCI. It's great to talk to a third-year student about where things are at for them now. And I wanted to ask, from your perspective as a third-year student, is the course what you had expected it to be when you had originally applied?
Yes, my name is Sinead Woods and I am a third-year student in the full-time psychology course, and I definitely think that the college course actually exceeded my expectations. The variety in the different modules was something that really surprised me. We learned from research methods to developmental to biological basis of behaviour, cyber psychology and much more, and it's such a wide variety of different things. I was very nervous coming into the course because I never actually did science in secondary school, and I was worried that that would hold me back in comparison to my peers in my year. But the support I received from lecturers and from the learning and teaching supports within the college was exceptional, and I've really made friends and I just love the course so much. I definitely think that it is such a varied and interesting course to study.
So would you say your perspective of psychology and psychological science is different now from before when you applied?
I definitely think so. I wasn't expecting it to change how I view things so much, and to change how I read things, and even watching TV now. I'm sitting there like, oh, that's so interesting that person chose to do that. Like it makes me analyze things in a different way due to the theories that we've learned in class, the different modules, and even assignments, and you know, figuring out how to make topics that maybe were discovered years and years ago relevant and how they affect us now, and just the constant body of work that's coming out all the time from different research. It's just fascinating to read, to be honest, and to study.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of things about the course that you enjoy, but I'm wondering, is there something you could focus on as what you think is maybe the most interesting thing that you've learned about during your studies?
I think for me, the most interesting thing I learned about the course is when we learn different interventions that we can actually utilise ourselves as students during our studies. So when we were in second year, we did a module called coaching psychology, and during it we could do things like journaling, and we learned about how to do goals and how to set goals for ourselves that were achievable, and we learned about multiple different theories behind models. And then this year now in final year, we are doing an assignment all about stress intervention, which is obviously a really important aspect to learn about as a student, to learn how to manage stress and also to make the time to, you know, be a student, have friends, work and also achieve our student goals.
So it sounds like the practical applied aspects of it are things that really have gelled for you. I'm wondering, where do you hope that the qualification is going to lead you after your time at NCI?
So for my academic career, I've actually had quite a varied one. So when I left school at 17, I did a PLC in Theatre Studies Performance, and I got my qualifications there in a QQI level 6, and then I came to NCI and did psychology, so I'm in final year now at the moment, and my end goal would be to be a drama therapist for children with additional and special needs. So I've been looking at different masters in developmental psychology, child psychology, and also in drama therapy. I would love to work with children and to help them and their families to achieve a fulfilled life. And I also love looking at courses to do with school psychology and just adolescents and children in general.
That's very interesting. I think, Karen, sorry, did you want to ask something there about Sinead's involvement with learning and teaching support?
Yeah, I was just wondering how you found the experience at NCI and the supports that we have in the learning and teaching for our students.
Yeah, so as a student with dyslexia, I was kind of nervous coming into the course about the amount of reading and things that I'd have to do. But with learning and teaching supports, they helped me with different tools. So they've sent me different programs to do with you know, online reading, so that my laptop reads my books out to me, and I get extra help with things like during exams. I get a room that only has a couple of people in it rather than my whole class. I have someone that can read to me, but I also have the computer read to me during exams. I get extra time and things like that. But the variety of different supports they have for students with learning disabilities and additional needs, and even students without, is just phenomenal. The library supports that are there, they do classes in, you know, essay writing and referencing and things like that. So if you have any questions or queries at all, there's always someone that can help you and answer your questions, which I think is phenomenal.
And as well, I'm just wondering as well, Sinead, like from your background before you started NCI, I suppose, have you got involved in clubs and societies in the college?
Yes, I actually have. So when I came into my first year, I joined the Dance Society, and I've been in there ever since. So this is my 3rd year on the committee, and it's my 2nd year as president. So I essentially run the whole society and make sure my committee are working as a team, which has been really, really good for team management and things like that, especially when I then revert back to my studies and have to do group projects and stuff. It's really, really helpful to learn to work as a team. And for clubs and societies, there's such a wide variety. Like, just because you're going to do your studies doesn't mean you have to leave your hobbies and other interests at the door. There are so many other options of how you can still fulfill that. So there's sports, there's creative ones, and this year we have a feminist society and a fashion society, photography, anything you can think of, we probably have a society for. And if there isn't, then you can just start one. Like, everyone is very supportive in the student services and in the students' union as well. So you'll always have people fighting your corner for you.
That's really interesting to hear about how involved you have gotten in the college life opportunities that are around. How do you find balancing those opportunities with your studies at NCI?
Yeah, so that is definitely something that takes time and practice. I do find that because of the way the course is laid out, our lecturers are very good at telling us towards the start of the semester, look, you've got an assignment due on this week and this is going to happen here, you have a group assignment. Like, within the college course, there's such a variety of different assignments. So if you personally are wary about group projects, there's personal essays, there's lots of different things. So your grade never just relies on one aspect. There's loads of different things that you can do. So definitely time management skills, which you do learn about in your course, and also trying to find that balance of how much time you can allocate to different things. I do find it is good to timetable out your week and all of that type of thing, but yeah, definitely knowing in advance about the assignment dates and keeping on top of them is really, really helpful.
And Sinead, I'm wondering, do you have any piece of advice for anybody who is thinking of coming to study psychology at NCI that we haven't covered?
So my piece of advice would be, you know, don't be afraid to look into psychology before you even come. If it's something that you're interested in, watch YouTube videos about it, watch some documentaries, you know, read a book or two that has been written by a well-known psychologist. You know, don't be afraid to ask people questions. If you know someone who's studying psychology, especially in NCI, like, do not be afraid to message them. We are all very welcoming, and luckily with psychology, we actually have quite small years in comparison to some other courses and things. So you do really get to know your year group, and you get to know who's in your year, and you get to know the lecturers really well. And all of the lecturers are super friendly too. So don't be afraid to, you know, email the college, look at our Instagram accounts and things like that. The NCI IRL Instagram account is really, really helpful. Look on YouTube, look on the college website. There's so much advice anywhere that you can think of.
Sinead, it's been really great talking to you today about psychology at NCI, and thanks so much for your enthusiastic answers.
Thank you, Fergal. See you in the classroom.
See you soon.
Thank you very much for attending our open day today. I hope that it's given you some insight all of the courses in NCI. And if you do have any follow-up questions, you can always contact me directly. My name is Karen Campbell, so you'll get us at karen.campbell@nciorl.ie, or you can contact us through our social media channels. So yeah, I hope that you have found some insight into all of our programs, and I hope that you will choose NCI for your CAO.